Are you like trying to mock me? I kind of understand.
Hey yo, here we go. Microphone check. 1 2 1 2. I said microphone check. 1 2. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Ain't nobody out here winning like me. Can't nobody out here do it like me. Just like me, like me.
All right. Welcome to Aces Wild Chicago Sports Takes. It has been a long time since we have been on the airwaves, and for good reason. Took some time away. I felt a lot of the previous shows we were doing all had the same narrative involved of the Bears blowing a game in some fashion or looking terrible in some fashion. And I just decided I wasn't trying to sit there and do the same show week after week after week. After 5 weeks of the same show, I was just, this team ain't worth my time. Now, we took an off season, and we're back. I got my guy Turtle with me. Vince, how you doing tonight?
I'd be better if the last 2 weeks went a little better, but other than that, it's good to be back.
It's always fun to do these shows. Unfortunately, it's the same script every time, right? The Bears are who we thought they were. Before we get into it, I have a fun clip from the draft show we did earlier in the year. I'll just let it speak for itself, and then we'll really dive into the areas that we think that the Bears, who's to blame for the situation at hand with the Chicago Bears. The bigger issue here, and I know that a lot of people think I was hating on Poles, right? And maybe I was. Maybe I was hating a little bit.
Hurting them out.
But there's a lot of guys that he's drafted that haven't been impact players thus far. Well, I don't want to say
I couldn't hear the clip.
It was basically me saying, I've been deemed a Ryan Poles hater for a while. And, some people that we've talked to in the past that we've had privileges of being part of this network and all that have deemed me as a Ryan Poles hater, and then I'm too negative. I don't want to say that everything I've said has come to fruition in this spectacular 0-2 start the Chicago Bears are having. The last game being a 52-21 loss to the Detroit Lions. But, people like to think I don't know a whole lot about what I'm talking. And that's poppycock. There's an old school word for you. Old school word for the same old tire shtick that is the Chicago Bears. Ryan Poles was brought into this team, this organization, after we ran Ryan Pace out of town, after we ran Phil Emery out of town, after we ran Jerry Angelo out of town, all these GMs. I remember looking at Phil Emery and thinking, wow, this guy is terrible, right? Ryan Pace, what the hell does this guy do? Turns out I'd rather have those two guys right now than Ryan Poles. I don't know about you, Turtle, but I want to throw some stats out there real quick. And, a lot of people have probably heard these. In 3 years as the general manager, Ryan Poles, well, first off, when in his introductory press conference, he said that he was going to, what was it? Build through the draft, right? Build through the draft was what he said his number one goal was. And, I mean, I don't really know what to say. people make misses on drafts all the time, here and there, 4th round picks, 5th round picks. I don't know. I'm not saying that picking a punter in the 4th round over a guy like Bucky Irving when you're in desperate need of a running back, not saying that's a terrible miss. Or, in that later in that clip that I played, there's you stating how, wouldn't Jalen Carter look good for the Bears instead of Darnell Wright? And I'm just going to say he's had 4 top 10 picks. 4. 7 second-round picks in 3 years that he's been the Bears general manager. Now, I couldn't figure out if those all 7 were all picks or if he traded some of those picks, because let's not forget, he traded a second-round pick to get Chase Claypool. He traded a second-round pick to get Montez Sweat. Claypool's not on this team. Montez Sweat is an overpaid mid-level edge rusher in the NFL. Whatever people want to say, you're paying dude as the top 10 defensive edge rusher. Guy's never had a double-digit sack season other than one time in his career. One. Ryan Poles has built the 5th most expensive defense in the NFL for a team that allowed 52 points on Sunday. He has had 0 Pro Bowl players drafted, none in 3 years. Ryan Pace had 7. Phil Emery had 3. So to put that into perspective. Oh, but what about Jalen Johnson, right? Now, that was a Ryan Pace pick, and we re-signed a cornerback, right? Cool. He was a good player. But remember when they traded Roquan? Remember when I had stated, well, maybe we should get rid of a guy like Jalen Johnson also. More assets. It's insanity to think of where we're at right now. Mr. I want to take the North and never give it back.
I mean, he didn't say when he was going to take the North.
I mean, at this point, you're 3-17. You got to win. You got to win a bunch of years in a row before we take that North spot back.
I mean, he still could be right. We may not give it back once we take it.
Yeah,
he just didn't say when we're going to take it.
The NFL might expire the year that we fucking win it the first time. It's the same tired nonsense. And I just wanted to get out here and express that while some people think I'm negative, just because it's a negative narrative doesn't mean that it's wrong.
Are you ready for me to make you feel even worse?
I mean, yeah, please.
I think you might have missed this one. Devon Achane went number 84 overall to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. Our
beloved Chicago Bears started that 3rd round by selecting Zachary Pickens.
So it's real funny, actually. I have a list of Ryan Poles draft picks. Would you like to go over them with me?
I would, but it's not even just the guys he picked. It's the guys he didn't pick.
Right. And that's the thing.
Here we are still trying to figure out the running back position, and a guy who's arguably one of the fastest dudes in football plays in Miami. Can you imagine him playing the Jahmyr Gibbs role?
Remember when they signed Montez Sweat? Right? And remember when they signed DeAndre Swift, and somebody told me, "Oh man, DeAndre Swift's going to be a great running back in that room. He's going to make a huge difference." Really hasn't. He played pretty well last Sunday, but overall, he's not a highlight reel running back, and running back is the least of this team's problems. You look at the overall roster construction of the Chicago Bears and what Ryan Poles has done. I have a list, full draft history, Ryan Poles full draft history. Okay, let's start in 2022.
This was first draft?
This is his first draft. Kyler Gordon.
Solid.
He's solid when he's healthy.
I mean, isn't he a Pro Bowler?
Nope.
He wasn't alternate for the Pro Bowl?
I don't believe so. Jaquan Brisker.
I'm going to
Solid
say those two solid picks.
when they're healthy. That's the
Correct.
biggest problem right now is can they stay healthy? A third round pick is Velus Jones Jr. Remember I used to have back and forth arguments with somebody about Velus Jones Jr. and how what the hell is he on this team for? Oh, well, they're making him a running back because he was terrible at the position you drafted him at. But I'm fucking crazy, right?
I mean, you
anyways,
are, but that's
I
beside
am
the
crazy. Fifth round pick Braxton Jones, who
I
for a
mean,
fifth round pick, I
for a
think he's
fifth
been
round pick, for
serviceable.
a fifth round pick, he's been solid.
Yeah, who was the other guy the Bears drafted in like the fifth or sixth round a while back? Was it Charles Leno?
Yes,
And everyone was like, "Oh well,
I think
he
Charles
was good."
Leno was a seventh rounder though.
Yeah, and he was good for being a seventh rounder.
Right.
Then we got Dominique Robinson, meh.
Yeah.
Zachary Thomas, the
I mean, at least
offensive lineman.
is Dominic Robinson still on the team, right?
Point made. Yeah, he is still on the team, but as a fifth round pick, you kind of hope that guy turns into something.
I mean, he's a fifth round pick though, still being on the team this many years later. Like at least,
Do you see a lot of them? I don't have to go into the sixth, seventh round picks because they're
I'm
not
just
great.
saying, like as a fifth round pick, like if you told me that okay, I'm taking this guy in the fifth round, and that was what 2022, so
Yeah.
3 years, 4 years from now, he's still going to be a solid role player for this team. I consider that's a success in the fifth round.
Yeah, I mean, if you consider rolling on the ground because the offensive lineman pancakes you most of the time, then yeah, I guess.
I mean,
that's
I'm
a
just
good
saying.
role.
I'm just saying.
No,
like,
I get what you're
in
saying.
the fifth round, you're probably
Right,
not
right.
going to find difference makers in the fifth round.
Right.
I mean, you
and
can.
That's a
You
top,
obviously
that's,
can.
We'll
but-
get to that. The later round picks versus the top level picks. Oh, let's not forget he drafted a punter in the seventh round. Keep that in mind. 2022, his first draft. Instead of just taking a undrafted free agent, brother went and used a seventh round pick for a punter. Cool, whatever. 2023. Okay, this was the year where you were hoping, okay, you got a couple guys last year. Let's build some defensive and offensive lines to really stabilize this team. The 10th overall pick, Darnell Wright. I'd say serviceable.
Yeah.
Not
at
at a top 10 pick. That brother needs to be an all-pro offensive lineman. And all he's being all-pro at is getting penalties left and right.
Well, I mean, he's had problems these first 2 weeks, but he's played very well.
I mean, you also had the coaches coming out talking about how when he gets tired, he seems to slack a little bit, and they're worried about that. That was all before the regular season started.
I mean, I consider him a successful draft pick.
True. I would say he's serviceable again.
I think he's
Now,
more than
would I rather have
serviceable.
liked to have Jalen Carter on this team instead of Darnell Wright? Absolutely. Right? No pun intended. But here we go. We got the second round pick, Gervon Dexter, who in the first game looked pretty good this year, but you haven't really seen him since. Then Tyreek Stevenson, who I heard a stat that this season quarterbacks have a perfect QBR versus him in coverage. So
Yes.
that is not a vote of confidence for a cornerback.
No,
You basically throw the ball to him and your guy got it.
Yeah, he
Ever
has.
since that Washington debacle, bro.
Yeah,
it's been
he's gone downhill fast ever since
Yep.
that game.
Zach Pickens, I don't even think he's on the team anymore.
He is not.
Okay. That was a third round pick.
That was who you took at the beginning of the round. That about 12 picks later, Devon Achane went off the board.
Yeah. And then you got Roshan Johnson, who you picked in that draft, who can't stay healthy. He was healthy last week.
Yeah.
And the only role they gave him was kick return. So
Yeah, I
that
mean, I don't
should-
think this coaching staff has got to see him.
Yeah, well, and
He wasn't healthy during the preseason.
right. And I don't know if the running back room on this team is kind of a joke. You had the opportunity to sign Josh Jacobs. You let him go to the Packers. You had the opportunity to sign Aaron Jones. He went to the Vikings.
Yeah, but look at Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones can't stay healthy either.
Right. But you paid DeAndre Swift instead of either of those two guys. I would have
rather paid DeAndre Swift instead of Aaron Jones for sure.
I would have rather.
And don't forget, it's not like they sat on their hands. They went all in on Saquon Barkley.
Right, but Barkley would have been a joke behind this offensive line.
Well, then so would Josh Jacobs.
I remember when Swift was like the big headline first free agent signing from that offseason. Then we got our boy Tyler Scott, 4th round draft pick, wide receiver. He's not on the team.
No.
I mean, okay, that's that. Not really much else after that. Then we go to last year's draft. And I'm going to be very level-headed when I talk about this draft because I know
probably won't be.
No, I'm really going to try. First overall pick, number 1 pick, Caleb Williams, quarterback. I think last year was a struggle. New coaching staff comes in. They're still trying to work to figure him out. He's trying to work to figure them out. I think we'll know by the end of this year if it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'll be optimistic instead of pessimistic when it comes to him.
I mean, if you look at his stats, he is doing better than he was.
Right. He played a better game last week. I know it doesn't look like it if you just look at the game, but that's the whole team looked awful. Then you have Rome, who I think is going to be a stud.
Yeah, he's a stud.
You have Karam Abagaji. He was hurt last year. He wasn't good enough this year to be – he was a healthy scratch, I believe, last week. Then you got your boy Torrey Taylor, the punter, with the leg that can kick all the punts. Remember that guy? And I was told by some people that we talked to, oh, well, come on. He's the best punter there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best punter it's after you drafted a punter 2 years previous. And then Austin Booker, who didn't flash much last season, got hurt this year. That was it for the draft in 2024. So I mean, it's still out there. You're not really sure about some of these guys. And then you have this year's picks. Colston Loveland, jury's still out. Luther Burden, jury's still out. I think it's weird that you extend Cole Kmet, you draft a tight end, you have DJ Moore, you have Roma Dudze, you go out and get another wide receiver in the 2nd round. I understand Ben Johnson wants to make this offense some type of way, but could you not have potentially used that pick for Luther Burden to maybe get an offensive lineman, left tackle spot, edge rusher? You get a guy like Ozzie Trapillo, who was a healthy scratch because he can only play one side of the line.
I mean, I think part of
the same side of the line as your top 10 draft pick in Darnell Wright.
I mean, I think part of it is you saw certain things in Luther Burden that you thought would translate to this offense. I mean, if you take the kid that's hurt, the edge, we were just talking about him.
Austin Booker.
Yeah, Austin Booker. If you take that injury away, I think you see a different defense. Like it was just preseason, but he flashed in the preseason. And you see him as a guy that could play opposite Montez Sweat. And then you got Grady Jarrett and Dexter and Adangbo and guys like that. I think this defense looks a little bit different if he doesn't go down. He's that speed rush on the outside that they don't have. So I think part of it was they felt comfortable with him going into this season. And then with him getting hurt, it kind of makes it where it's like, well, we were comfortable with him, but we didn't have anything behind him. And not to mention, like right now, your secondary is so beat up and Tyreek Stevenson's getting exposed big time.
Big time.
And, that was the question mark coming into this year. And, I was told that he was going to bounce back and be a shutdown corner, that all the worries were just me being a worrier. But as we see now...
Turtle, relax. It's only week 1.
Right,
it's
but
only
now as
week
we
2.
see 2 weeks in, he's the worst corner in football.
You remember when I used to send text messages being concerned about certain areas, and I'd get a response of, "Oh, it's only week 1. It's week 2." And then it's week 17, and look what we're looking at, a 5-12 team.
I do think there's still a lot of football left this year. I hope that Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen can get this thing turned around, and we can at least see some progress every week. I thought today's interview was a little telling.
That was going to be my next topic. Why don't you tell everybody some of what Ben Johnson said in his press conference after practice today?
He was asked, certain things that you can take away from a game like that, because earlier in the week they had called it demoralizing, and he refused to call it that. He thought, he said it was just another game. It only counts as one loss. I think it speaks to his character versus Matt Eberflus, because if there was that steady leading the ship last year, maybe the Washington thing doesn't tear his team apart. But anyway, about today's interview, he said that, reviewing film, he thought there was a lack of effort. He said there was a lot of guys away from the ball on all 3 sides that didn't, in so many words, took some plays off. He said that they didn't like what they saw on guys away from the ball, and they were going to get that cleaned up, and guys were going to have to show in practice that they wanted to practice hard and that they wanted to be out there getting the ball. And I don't know who exactly he was speaking of. I do know that I thought DJ Moore kind of disappeared. Whether that be problems of the Caleb DJ Moore connection that they had last year, or whether that's just Roma Dunze taking over that spot. The thing about the Ben Johnson offense is, you look at Detroit, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown and then a bunch of other guys. When you talk about Chicago, it's, we got DJ Moore, we have Roma Dunze, we have Luther Burden, we have Cole Kmet, we have Colston Loveland. Like, name me everybody on Detroit, and it's just like, okay, we got St. Brown and we got Sam Laporta.
Right.
Like, and then a bunch of other guys. So, they say if you don't block, you don't get the rock. They're definitely about effort and all that stuff away from the football. And I expect to see guys start getting held accountable. And if that's DJ Moore, it's Caleb Williams, it's whoever it is, I expect Ben Johnson to not be the type who's going to sit there and just be like, oh, okay, well, we don't really like what we see. We're just going to let it keep going. Like, I do feel like he's fully transparent, and he will step in and, make those changes as needed.
I would hope. And what I do like is the fact that he's not afraid to call out the team. He took it the last 2 weeks when
Right.
he made a mistake. He took the hey, yo, this is my fault. He did come out and say, and this is his quote, "Our practice habits are yet to reflect a championship caliber team."
Yep.
It's going into week 3. I remember listening to a certain general manager who boasted about the attitude of this team, about how they're setting this culture we want a winning culture in this locker room. That doesn't sound like a winning culture to me. And a lot of these guys are guys that certain general manager handpicked to be in this locker room. Whether it's the previous coach, again, who's responsible for that, and honestly, it probably goes above Ryan Poles to the ownership, but the ownership is never going to sell, so it doesn't even matter to bring that up. I just think it's a glaring black eye on Ryan Poles, the fact that your head coach has come in here and basically in the last 2 days told you that the guys on the team don't practice hard enough. There's not enough, people out here taking it serious. A lot of the players that you've drafted are healthy scratches or giving you zero impact. And then you extend the guy till, geez, what is it, 2029?
Did you hear?
Is there a way for this to get fixed if Ryan Poles is still the guy picking the talent?
I mean, I think the saving grace. I think Ben Johnson's going to be heavily involved in drafting for this team. My concern was if Ben Johnson, when I saw the 10th pick was close to Loveland, I think we instantly both agreed it's a very Ben Johnson pick.
If you remember, I was not happy with the pick.
Right. You were not.
I wanted a left tackle or an edge rusher in that spot.
I think the problem with the left tackle, not to get too far off track, but I think the problem with tackle at that spot was no one expected three of them to go before you got to the Bears.
Right.
I think the Bears, again, not get too far off track, but I really do firmly believe that Ashton Jeanty was number one on the Bears list, and then a tackle was number two. But then Jeanty was gone. 3 tackles were gone. There was no one they felt comfortable taking at 10. A lot of people, and it's, it's kind of twofold, right? Because it's hard. It's really easy for people to, after the draft and now, to say, well, look, you should have taken this guy. But at the same time, like, that's what he's paid to do. Like, yeah, it's easy for us to say that now in week 2 that, oh, you should have taken that guy. But that's what he's paid to do. He's paid to know that he should take that guy in that spot.
Right.
So, like, you know what I mean? So it kind of goes both ways. But Ben Johnson came out, he said earlier this week, he said that he went into the opening week against Minnesota knowing they probably weren't going to use the tight end position very much against Minnesota. Whatever that is, whatever schematics there that they have against Brian Flores' defense must not feature the tight end. He thought he would get into it a lot against Detroit. I think, those 2nd and 32s, 3rd and 34s, those make it really hard to get in a rhythm, not only as a play caller, but as a team and feature some of that 12 personnel. Like, now you've got to spread the field and you're looking to throw the ball and you're looking to do a lot of things that you just can't do.
I mean, and I'm cool. Let's shift the focus to that game, right? The Bears-Lions game, and the overall ineptitude, I would say, of the Bears defense in that game, of the offense. I mean,
I will say this. I feel without Jalen Johnson, without Kyler Gordon, without TJ Edwards, like, you're asking your defense to play without your 3 of your top players, if not the 3 top players on your defense. The secondary was very much exposed. Wright, was it Narshawn Wright or whatever his name is? He looked good against Minnesota, but as you see, JJ McCarthy hasn't looked very good when he's not playing the Bears.
Right. Most teams, Bears would get right team.
Yeah, so I mean, it's tough. There's, I heard this morning they were talking on the radio and they were talking about blaming Caleb Williams because Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones can't stay on sides or can't not false start.
Yeah. Yep.
I think Caleb's an easy target right now.
I think he's been since he got here. I think a lot of people have.
He's very eccentric. He's very, I will say this, though. Like, there's a lot of things that are going on right now with Caleb and the Bears, and I feel like some of it's getting mislooked. Like, I know, like, we live and die with every play and every game, and we want them to compete right now. And I just think there's certain things that are taking place right now that are bigger than the 0-2 record. Caleb Williams, he talked today. I don't know if you heard any of his interviews, but he talked today about Ben Johnson was talking about Dak Prescott and how he uses his eyes as a quarterback to do different things. So they asked Caleb, and he said, yeah, you see, sometimes and he said Matthew. I don't know if that's Matt Stafford he was talking about or who he was talking about, but he referenced using your eyes to either hold a player where he is on defense or move a player somewhere
Right.
else on defense and throw behind him, different things. And he said it is something Ben Johnson's working on him with, like using his eyes more, doing different things. And he said a couple of those misses were on plays that he was doing that. He's trying to look off defenders. He's trying to hold defenders in place and then go back to someone with the ball. And I think he's just not quite there yet. Maybe he's not comfortable with it yet. Different things that, Ben is working on different things with Caleb to get the most out of Caleb. But that doesn't necessarily get the most out of Caleb right now. It's going to get the most out of Caleb later. So I think as much as we live and die play by play, week by week, if fast forward 12 weeks and we're going to week 14 and Caleb and his offense is humming and they got this thing going and Caleb is by far the guy and there's no questions there, then I don't think anybody really cares about these two games.
Right. And
I almost go as far to say if you don't make the playoffs or you're a wild card team and one and done, whatever, but at the end of the season, Caleb's thrown for 4,700 yards, 30 touchdowns, 70% like they want, all those things. I don't know that you really care that they missed the playoffs. Like you do because we're Bears fans and we want
Right.
them to be so good right now.
it,
But if he
Personally,
can,
I don't-
unlock the talent of Caleb Williams, that's what really matters about this
Right.
team.
and ultimately, I'm pretty sure Jared Goff had very similar numbers for Ben Johnson his first season,
Yeah,
and it's not going to happen.
they're actually almost
overnight.
identical.
Right. I think it was like 56% completion percentage. The only difference is they were putting up a lot of points,
Correct.
right? But they had a terrible defense. The offensive line is a problem. I said this before the draft. Yeah, you brought in Dalman and Tooney and the clown on the other side. I forget his name.
Jonah Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson, who is an old dude. And, I understood you brought him in because he had previous connections with Ben Johnson. Maybe it's a guy that helps you kind of teach the playbook to the offensive line, all that stuff, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at Caleb when the Bears don't have penalties to stall out the drive, he's a much different quarterback, right? I think it's something like 72% completion when they don't have a false start penalty, a holding penalty, anything that pushes them 10 yards. That's a good sign. You're sitting in a spot where, okay, obviously a 3rd and 35 is a very difficult hurdle to overcome. Not many teams are able to. Most of the time, if it does happen, it's probably against the Bears and their defense. But but ultimately, a 3rd and 35, you got nothing. And
Right.
I know people are like, oh, well, he threw that interception, blah, blah, blah. If I watch back that throw to Zacchaeus on the sideline, and I feel like Caleb thought he was going to keep going.
Right.
And he stopped the route, which that's going to be something that they'll learn to build together. If the Bears don't make the playoffs, I'm not going to be pissed. But a 5-win team this year is not acceptable.
Right.
It's not acceptable. Somebody has to be held accountable for a consecutive 5-win team. And if they only win 5 games, Ryan Poles' career versus in the NFL, I wrote it down, would be 20-50
Yeah.
if they finish this year at 5-12. That's not acceptable.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
hope that-
the hard part is I don't know where you go from here. Like, if you go doom and gloom, and this season is 5-win season, I mean, you're not gonna fire Ryan Poles. You're not gonna fire Ryan Poles the same season you extended him.
I mean,
there's no way the McCaskies they're gonna pay him all that money to not GM this team. And
if
you
it gets to
paired up
that,
Ben Johnson with him.
if it
Like,
gets
that was the
to
whole
that,
point of
I
the
would much
extension.
rather Kevin Warren be like, hey, listen, we're gonna bring in somebody, or we're gonna just let Ben take the reins on the personnel for a while, because
Yeah, but
what are you gonna do?
whole,
Let this guy have another top 10
I mean,
pick?
but the whole point of the extension was to pair him up with Ben Johnson. So clearly, they told you before this season that no matter what happens this season, that's the duo that's going to run this team. Because otherwise, you don't extend Ryan Poles. You let this season come and go and see what happens. They told you everything you need to know before this season started when they linked them up and matched up their contracts.
Which
They
is
said
such a weird thing to me, man.
They
It's
said
like,
these two are going to be ultimately tied hand in hand, and either they're going to succeed or they're going to fail as a unit. And in 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we decide they're not the guys. We're going to fire them both.
which is
Or
fucking wild.
we
because
feel
I
they
have-
are the guys. We're going to extend them both.
Who do you have more faith in right now? Poles, Johnson, or Caleb? Out of all three of them.
I mean, at this point, how could you have confidence in any of them?
That's fair. But if
Like,
I had to give the
everybody
benefit of the
keeps giving
doubt to one of them,
everyone keeps giving Ben Johnson a pass because of what he's done in Detroit. But what has he done to make this football team a good football team? And albeit only 2 weeks, but for the first 2 weeks of the season, what has he done to show you he's a good football coach?
I mean, he's learning also. It is 2 weeks in.
Ah,
The problem
well,
is
but
Ryan
the-
Poles is 3 years in.
But that's not the point. You don't ultimately get a free pass every single time just because you're new. You're getting paid $15 million a year because they thought you were one of the best coaches in the NFL before you were ever a coach. That to me, that takes away your free pass. I'm paying you like you're a top tier coach in the NFL. I need you to be a top tier coach in the NFL. First off, I understand giving people a chance. You, as an offensive coordinator in this league, you've been in this league long enough to see Cairo Santos. You're a fan, Ace. This dude coached in the NFL. At what point has Cairo Santos over the last 3 years gave you any shred of confidence that he was going to put that ball through the back of the end zone?
Zero.
So you ask him, he says, Coach, I can do it. I can put the ball through the back of the end zone. Richard Hightower comes over and says, he could do it, Ben. I feel comfortable him kicking through the back of the end zone. Even if you go, man, I'm 50-50 on this, why not side on the err on the side of caution? You're not gaining anything by putting the ball through the end zone. So they're going to have the ball at the 30 instead of the 40, or the 20 instead of the 40. You only have one timeout in the 2-minute warning. You're only playing that set of downs anyways.
Right.
It doesn't matter if they're at the 40 and a first down puts them in field goal range, because a first down takes the clock away. You ends the game anyways. So at that point, why even try it? You say, look, I get it. I fully believe you could put it through the back of the end zone. It's just not worth the risk.
Yeah, because
Instead,
it was what?
he said
it was like 203 or
it was
something like that.
203, and he could have
Yeah.
kicked it out of bounds. It would have given them the ball at the 40, at their own 40-yard line. You would have had to stop the clock on the first play after the 2-minute warning. Second play, you call a timeout at 1:56. Now you're talking about they're punting the ball with 1:10, 1:12 left instead of 3 seconds left.
Right.
Like, to me, that's showing your inexperience as a coach. Like,
Right.
you're going out of your way to believe in your players, but there's no upside there.
So let me swing it this way for you. Is there a scenario where Ben Johnson came into this team, looked at the roster as a whole? He's played against them, right? He played against the defense. He knows their weaknesses. He's watched firsthand twice a year, well, 2 times last season, Caleb Williams and the offensive production of these teams. Is there a scenario where he's just like, I'm just going to let these players go out there, tell them what I want to have done, and if they can't do it, I'm going to show the world that they can't do it, and then move on from them at some point?
I mean, I don't know what the upside to that would be. I don't know what he gains by that.
Well, I mean, if anybody in the scenario has the most security, it's him right now.
Oh, for
I
sure.
would
But
think, right?
But I think at the same time, you just signed that $15 million a year coaching contract. I would feel like if you felt that a guy couldn't do it, like they're going to take your word for it. Like if you're Ryan Poles and you just hired me and I come in and during training camp or our initial meetings and I'm like, look, I like this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. I don't think this guy can do it, but we'll see if maybe some better coaching. This list of guys, dead weight. They're not going to be part of what we do here. At that point, why would you say, okay, let's put them on the field and show you that they're not the guy? No one's going to argue with Ben Johnson and tell him, no, you don't like that guy. I really think you should give that guy another try. Like, that's why you brought Ben Johnson in here, is to be the football guy.
Right.
So I just feel like, look, there's a lot of things going on here. The team's learning a new plays, new schemes, new everything. Your defense is missing a lot of key players. Dennis Allen wants to run a get after the quarterback defense that puts the corners on an island.
Right.
You don't
Exactly.
have your top two corners. So you don't have the personnel to run that defense anymore.
The worst part about that is after the whole Micah Parsons thing, Jerry Jones came out and said, well, we were looking at teams that had the realistic resources to sign him to a long-term deal, and the Bears weren't one of those teams because of the money that they had put into the defensive line.
That's not it. The Bears were never at the table with Dallas because they didn't have a defensive tackle to give them. Dallas said that they only went to the table with teams who had an interior defensive lineman they felt could upgrade their team instantly and had the draft picks they wanted.
And like, I don't want to, like, I've always kind of been.
Listen, everyone keeps passing up on Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark is a great football player.
Yeah, I agree.
Kenny Clark is a phenomenal football player. He's probably top 5 at his position in the NFL. So
yeah, and I think that the Packers were smart to make that play. I mean, look at their team the last 2 weeks, right?
It's still 2 weeks. We'll see what they do. Don't forget, Dallas had Micah Parsons all these years, and they didn't do anything with him either.
Right.
So
right, and
yes,
I'm
he's
not
a
here
phenomenal
sitting
football.
saying that Jordan Love is better than Dak Prescott, because in my opinion, he's not.
No, he definitely isn't.
So, but I do want to tell, like, I have some Bears friends, and a lot of annoying ass Packer friends that I have up here that are always, dude, I swear to God, during the last quarter of the Bears Vikings game, I got so many text messages about, oh, the Bears still suck, this and that.
Yeah.
Like, brother, focus on y'all's team.
Right.
I'm not worried about the Packers until week 14.
Right.
When the Bears play the Packers. Fuck, the Packers could win every game up to that point. I don't care.
Right.
The Bears, no team in the modern era of football has started 0-2 with their first 2 games being against the division and made the playoffs. So, in my head, the playoffs are already out of the window. I just want to see this team get better. I personally think that there are some issues with some players on this team that you have to move on from in order to make the turn with this roster. You know, you look at a guy like DJ Moore, who has been kind of up and down in his praise for quarterback spot in that in the city. You know, he's a big Justin Fields guy. He was pretty upset when Fields left. Caleb came. They asked him about Caleb before Caleb was even drafted, and he said, I don't think he's better than Justin.
Right.
So I think that DJ has kind of had this sour taste in his mouth since Justin Fields left. And if it was me, and I'm just throwing scenarios out there right now because that's what we do when you're 0-2 and you're not going to make the playoffs. Look at a team like Kansas City, right? What's their biggest area of need right now? Wide receiver, right? Where did Ryan Poles come from? Kansas City. Give him a call, say, hey, I got a guy, DJ Moore. You know, he's a little disgruntled. We just drafted Luther Burden. We got Rome, who's on the ascent. Throw us a second-round pick. DJ will come your way. Boom. Now, I don't know what the dead cap space bullshit crap is.
No, for sure. I get where you're going with it.
But if the Eagles can sign all these players and the Rams can do all these wheeling and dealings, you can figure it out. And that's what I would do. Cole Kmet, same thing.
Well, see, now the Cole Kmet thing again raises the well. First off, the dead cap is probably pretty big on Cole Kmet because you just extended him.
Yeah, I think at the end of the year is when you can move on from him.
But
at no
you know,
cost.
and if you're going to do the 12 personnel, like that was the whole reason you drafted Colston Loveland. At least you told us you drafted Colston Loveland was because he was the opposite of Cole Kmet. So with the two of them, they gave you everything you would need out of your two tight ends. As far as DJ Moore, I feel like that might be something that's after the season
Yeah.
because you figured the trade deadline you're hoping to be arrow pointing up. And if it is, that means DJ Moore is playing well. In the future, though, I agree with you. I think the Luther Burden move makes DJ, if Luther Burden is who they tell us he is, makes DJ Moore expendable because now you've got Rome and Luther Burden, and then you free up that money from DJ Moore, and maybe you free up some of that pressure that Caleb feels like he's got to find the ball to DJ Moore.
And I feel like that's the thing with maybe that is the case. Maybe there's too many targets right now, and Caleb is just kind of, and that's a possibility. Maybe he's overwhelmed with, okay, I got to look at this guy. I got to look at that guy. This guy needs the ball more. That guy needs the ball more. How many times do we hear about wide receivers getting disgruntled because they're not getting looked at enough or they're not getting targeted enough? And while Caleb is missing some of these throws, I guess I would rather see him try to fit a ball in somewhere and end up with an interception versus overthrow the wide receiver. But also, I think he's taking into account, like, I don't want to put my receiver in a situation where they could get hurt, you know? Like, we watched that play, what was it, against Detroit or Minnesota? It was against Minnesota.
Where he let him right into the hit.
Yeah, DJ Moore got smoked. Like, I don't think Caleb's that kind of quarterback. I don't think he wants to put his wide receivers in that spot.
Right.
Now, we got a little bit of time left. Let's try to find a couple positives about this team over these last 2 weeks. If I had to pick one that really stands out to me, I think the Joe Thuney signing is a great signing. You haven't heard anything about him, which is what you want from your offensive line.
Right.
And he's come in there, no penalties. He's been a pro. That's a positive to me. I also think Rome and Caleb building this connection has really started to spark. I think Rome is a guy that Caleb feels comfortable going to. We watched it even in that game where he threw the ball to Rome. Rome dropped it, and then he went right back to Rome.
Yeah.
A little bit later. So, like, I've watched quarterbacks who have done that and then completely looked away from the wide receiver after that.
Yeah.
So, it's there's a couple bright spots, and if Caleb can just kind of grasp this offense, he made improvement. Ben Johnson said it from week 1 to week 2. I don't think this is going to be a scenario where we sit here from week 2 to week 3 and all of a sudden he puts up 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, with a perfect passer rating. I could see it being incremental, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, something like that. But I'm okay with that if by the end of the year we get to a point where we say, okay, Caleb is understanding this offense. Now let's get into the offseason, fix this line, get an edge rusher, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think if ever there was a week that you're going to see them be a little extra enthused to win if it wasn't against Detroit,
Right.
It's going to be against Matt Eberflus. I think you're going to see Caleb get better and better as far as positives. Like you said, I think you touched on some really good ones. I think Joe Thuney's been big for this offensive line. I think he's been big for the confidence of Caleb Williams. Now we need to see the rest of them. Drew Dahlman needs to, find his groove and get to where now he's making Caleb feel a little better. I think we've seen Caleb play better. He's avoided the sacks. He's gotten rid of the ball. The hit numbers and the pressures and the sacks and all those things are a lot lower than they were last year. coming off 68 sacks last year, only being sacked. I mean, he was sacked 4 times last week, but only I think 1 against Minnesota. I mean, there's parts of this offense so far. They look really good on first drives.
Yeah, which was a big
really now whether that's because it's a scripted plays, whatever it is. Year after year, we used to bang our heads against the wall and say, "I just wish this team could get off to a hot start."
I think last year, I don't think they had an opening drive touchdown the entire year.
No, I don't think so either. It might be 2 years since they've done
That's crazy.
They have never. I shouldn't say never, but it's been a really long time since they were a team that came out hot, and they do that. They come out and they look really good that opening drive. Now it's a matter of finding how to harness that and continue it on the next drives.
I think
part of it, once this offensive line, they interviewed Drew Dolman today, and they asked him about it, and he said, "Look, man," he said, "we're all coming into our midseason form too. We're all early season. We've never played together. It's very limited in preseason. We're all out here playing together for the first time, playing with each other. We're going to get there. We're going to keep getting better." And I asked him, he said, "At what point do you hit it?" He said, "I don't think there's ever a point where you hit it where you're like, okay, that's it. We passed the threshold we needed to."
Right.
He said, "We just continue to get better, continue to get stronger as a unit, stop making penalties, stop putting the offense in a tough spot. Don't forget, they started the year playing 2 teams that had 14 wins last year.
Right. And both teams had good defenses last
year. And
year.
you were a 5-win team. It's not like this team was a world beater last year and you're like, oh, okay, well, we could come out and beat anybody. I mean, you're still playing 2 14-win teams, and you've got a lot of new things going on. So, like you said, find the positives. There's some positives there. There's been glimpses of you see Caleb do something, and you're like, oh, shit,
right.
he is the guy.
That's why you're the guy. Right.
That's why he's the guy.
I think don't forget
Ben Johnson took this job over every other job in the NFL.
Right. I think that the whole narrative changes. Dallas comes in, you beat Dallas, you're 1-2. You go to Vegas, you beat Vegas, you're 2-2 going into your bye week.
Correct.
And I think that's a perfect time for a bye week for this team. If you can get to the bye week at 2-2, reset yourself. Yeah. Where can we move some pieces around? What do we need to do to assure that after this week we have momentum going forward in our direction? Yeah. Because after the bye week, it's a lot of hard games. So I think it's important if you can get to 2-2 into the bye week. I think you're going to look at a scenario where this team's going to have a lot more confidence, and the world won't look like it's falling.
Packers suck.
And Packers suck.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that as long as we're getting better every week, and Caleb's getting better every week, you get to the point, you get to Green Bay in week 14. You get them in weeks 14 and 16. You would think the team that the Green Bay sees is going to look nothing like the team we saw these first 2 weeks.
Right. Well, Turtle, I gotta say, it's been nice to get on here.
It has been.
I just wanted to come on here and I know I kind of tooted my own horn about the whole Ryan Poles thing, but I took a lot of flack over here for a few months back about me being such a hater and so negative about this team. And I'm just a firm believer that until you do something that warrants my affection as this team that's proven nothing to me over my lifetime, except one Super Bowl appearance, what is there to be positive about? We found some positives, so I want to end the show on a positive note. We had a lot of viewers tonight, which is awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will try to be back next week. And then hopefully we can kind of keep this momentum ourselves moving forward the next few. And because I love doing this, man. And I'm looking forward to.
It's definitely a good break from.
Yeah.
Even talking about a bad Bears team is better than anything else.
And we didn't even get to talk about the Cubs clinching the playoffs.
I know. So Cubtober.
Yeah, that's right. Don't let them get hot. Don't let them get hot, baby. But all right,
did you hear Craig Counsell today?
No, what did he say?
They interviewed me, said, "This is where all the fun happens." He said the rest of it was just to get to this point. He said it don't matter how you get here, you're here. Now
Right.
that's where all the fun starts.
Right. And if Cade Horton pitches the way he's been pitching, oh, baby,
From your mouth to God's ear.
let's go. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. It was awesome jumping back on here with all of you. Don't forget, head over to YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all the stuff. You guys know what to do. We're not the only podcast that's been around. Y'all follow,
Right.
like, and subscribe shit all the time, so keep it going. We will see you next week. Turtle, I'll see you.